What is up, ladies and gentlemen? How exciting! I feel like I haven't seen you guys in forever, so bear with me. I'm a little rusty on the live stream, but that's not going to stop me. It has literally been, I think, maybe a month and a half. Soccer has gotten in the way. We were doing these on Saturday, but I'm excited to be back live in front of you guys. This is going to be our new evening. We are going to be talking Tampa every Tuesday. That is the plan moving forward. So I'm excited to have everyone on with me today. I would love to know where you're watching from. Please do me a favor, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or whatever source it is. Drop me a line down below. Let me know where you're watching. I'd love to hear from you guys because it's been so long. And we got some exciting stuff to talk about for sure. Get everything set up. So much has happened. Just in the last week alone, I think all of us have sat back and watched another bank collapse in the United States. And it's just been going, okay, what does this mean for us? What's going on here? So we're going to talk about that for sure today as well. I'm going to try to get everybody in and out of here in a fairly decent time, but we got some cool stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about real estate, what's happening. How do these bank closures affect us? Do they affect us? What does that mean for Tampa in particular? What does that mean where you're watching from? Most of the people that watch this channel don't live in Tampa. So I'm always intrigued to know what's going on in your world as well. So like I said, please don't hesitate. Put in the comments. Let me know where you guys are watching. Make sure that the audio is good too. Let me know you guys can hear me okay. We're going to talk about, obviously real estate. We're going to talk about bank closures. We're going to talk about the lock-in effect. If you've never heard of that before, you're going to learn today because definitely a lot to talk about in what's going on in the world of Tampa. Megatron Fit. What's up, buddy? We're watching from Costco parking lot in St. Pete. I love it. I'm glad to hear that you guys have made it. That's great. So Megatron, for those of you that don't know, go check out his channel. My man literally is yoked up and he's got a great fitness channel, which I'd encourage you guys to go check out as well. So thanks for checking in. Megatron Fit. That's his handle. Go check him out on YouTube. You will not be disappointed. Awesome to see there. What do you got here? Juan, I'm looking to relocate to Tampa, hopefully by the end of the year. I was looking at Riverview as a great location to live in. I'll be working in TPA Airport. Do you think its area commute? What do I think of the area? Sorry. Riverview definitely has some positives to it for sure. It's one of the, I would say, first areas, the suburban sprawl, that Riverview, Brandon area out there. Fishhawk is right by there too, which is a really desirable community. You're right by the Top Golf. You can't complain about that. But I will say this, like if you're working in at Tampa Airport, that's the northwest side of the city. You're kind of in the southeast quadrant over there. It's going to be a little bit tough at specific times of day because of traffic. So just keep that in mind. But definitely think it's worth checking out. We got Stephanie Toomey in the house. You owe me a phone call tonight, by the way. I got something for you. Great clients from the Midwest. Love you guys. Incredible. Who else we got with us? We got Long Island, New York. What's up, Eddie? Pleasure. Hello from New York. There we go. And then last comment. Coming down from up north to check out the areas, wondering about the schools in that area, especially high school for my daughter. I'd need to know a little bit more specifically what you're talking about. Tampa's a pretty big area, lots of high schools, 3.3 million people roughly at this point. So do me a favor, let me know what city you were thinking about specifically, and we'll go from there. We'll get into it. And yeah, so what I'd like to do is this, guys. I want to get into some of this information to talk about some really cool stuff that's happening in Tampa right now that I think you want to know about. I want to talk about a lot of the positive because, one of the things that I am proud of is the fact that this city has been very resilient over the last 12 months when it comes to real estate. We definitely have had our dips too. You guys know I'm going to share the truth with you. So we're going to look at some data. It's not just going to be, real estate sales guy telling you that everything's perfect, because that's not the reality of it. However, I will say this, our market is changing rapidly again. And what I have seen over the last 6 weeks has just been nothing short of incredible. On January 10th, and I'm saying this date specifically because it was like a light switch just got turned on. On January 10th, our phones went from not ringing for almost 6 weeks. It was very sporadic through November and December. And you guys can see that kind of in the national real estate numbers too, all of a sudden the phones just started ringing off the hook. We had I think 43 or 46 people reach out to us from YouTube alone in the month of January, from January 10th to the end of the month. And then February, we almost had 60 people who are watch this channel reach out to us about moving to the area, which is incredible. We've had 13 people in town over the last 2.5 weeks, and it has been, wow, just gangbusters, man. So like, it's game on. And more importantly, the market is starting to get really tight again. And what I mean by that is we're seeing multiple offers. And I don't know if I've shared this with you guys before, but I sell real estate in 2 states. I'm from Detroit originally. So if you're new to this channel, oh, and by the way, if we've never met, my name is Juan Alcala. I am a licensed real estate agent here in Tampa Bay, and I help people just like you buy, sell, relocate, and invest. All my contact information is down below. All right. So I sell in 2 states, and over the last 6 weeks in both states, we've really started to see the market get extremely competitive again. And I know what you're thinking. You're watching this. You're like, they're telling us that real estate is terrible and that the market is down. And I'm not telling you that's not true. I am, however, telling you that inventory is so low, right? We're lower, I think now, or almost as low as we were in the middle of the pandemic when there was virtually no houses back on the market. And if you're looking at real estate on Zillow or Realtor or whatever source you use, you're looking at a bunch of price reductions, and you're not wrong. You see those with your own eyes. But what you're looking at is houses that no one wants at 7% interest rates. Okay. The homes that are turnkey, that are move-in ready, that are desirable, they are that's a competitive market. And we have seen multiple offer situations on all of the offers we've written for every property in both states for the last 2.5 weeks. And Michigan's been almost 6. So wherever you're watching from, keep that in mind. And I'm not trying to put any worry or fear in any people in your mind, but I want to show you why, right? It's easy to say things like that, but a lot of the times you need to back it up with data and really help people understand. And just know that that is my intent. That's the heart behind why I share this stuff, so you guys can be informed and make good decisions on, about what your housing needs are, housing goals, or investment goals are. So I think these things are important to note. And, I'm going to take you guys right over there right now. So let me get the screen pulled up so we can all be on the same page. I just wanted to get into some national stuff really quick. And then I want to talk about Tampa specifically with the good news, right? And what's going on here. So bear with me. We'll get into this. We're going to share a screen. We're going to get right into this Redfin data. Love this chart, y'all. Let me make it bigger for you guys. Okay. So this is Redfin. You can go to redfin.com /US/housing/market and number supply, and it'll take you right to this, right? This is not Juan's information that I'm curating. This is public info, guys, and they're pulling it from our data sources, but it's fine. Go check it out, right? I love this site because it really helps give you perspective on the national housing picture, which I think is important if you're considering doing anything in real estate, whether it's now or 6 months from now. It's good to be informed, okay? And as you can see, in the United States, we're still up year over year, 1.4%, which is nice, but it definitely has been trending down. So that's something to take note of. And depending on where you are, this can be remarkably and drastically different. So keep that in mind. And I'm going to show you how to use this tool for where you live, because that's super important to understand. All right. Now, here's the big thing that you want to take note of. We are down 33.5% year over year on home sales, when we were already down on the number of homes sold because of the lack of available inventory, which is continuing to rear its ugly head, time and time again. And I always like to go back further on these charts so you guys can see this, and you can see how consistent real estate really is over time. This is back to 2018. This is the 2018 market. If you look at 2019 market, it looks eerily similar. 2020 obviously started to change because of COVID, right? And then you had this, here it goes. They shut us down, right? Everybody was on lockdown. And as we move along, we had this huge peak in 2021. Interest rates were super low, rocking and rolling market. Interest rates start to increase dramatically in June of 2022. That was the peak. That was the peak of 2022, and it's been dropping off ever since then in terms of number of homes sold. So I think this is super important information to check out. Okay. So understanding what's going on in your market is very, very important. And the main reason why we're seeing these numbers is because look at the national average on interest rates. It went from being down. People were getting 2.75% interest rates, and we're going to get really deep into that in a minute because I think it's super important to, now you're seeing an average of 6.35. I saw 7% last week. These numbers are all over the place, y'all. So, it's something to be mindful and to watch. But I want to put this in perspective. Put this to wherever you are. I would go in and then come up here and then type in your city. Okay. So we're going to put Tampa, Florida here. Now, keep in mind, this is only focusing on the city of Tampa. Okay. This is not the Tampa metropolitan area. We can break those down by city if you guys like. I'm not going to keep everybody here this long, but I just want to show you how important it is to understand the difference between where you are and your local market versus where we are here in Tampa. And I'm just showing Tampa. But if you look at Tampa specifically, United States is up, what, 1.3% or 1.4%? And now we're up 8.1% year over year in a market where they're telling you that real estate is trash. I want you to take note of that, right? So this is clearly not the case here in Tampa, Florida, right? It is clearly not the case here. And for those of you who are hearing the barking dog in the back, that is Stella. Hope you guys can hear her loud and clear. Letting Kate know to bring her in right now. You're getting the dog, so forgive me. All right, so that is live television at its best. All right, so we're up 8.1% year over year. So I think that's super important to stay focused on. We are also down almost the same as national, right? 32% we're down in terms of home sales. Our median days on market is up to 40. Prior to the pandemic, we were running about 47, 48. So days on market is similar, but why that's happening is because of these houses that no one is taking care of and that no one has interest in buying it. So just keep in mind that's what's happening in our market. And I'm going to drill down a little bit deeper. The sale to list price is averaging 96.7%. Now, this is all home types, and I meant to show you that up here. Let me go in here because you can break this down by the specific type of property that you're looking for. And I think this is super important. Okay. Single family homes were up 9.7% year over year. Now, again, this is just Tampa. Right? Clearwater is different. St. Pete's different. Wesley Chapel's different. South Tampa's different. Riverview is going to be different. Wherever you're looking at, you really want to check out this chart and see what's going on. But 9.7, almost 10% up year over year in a market where people are telling you that the real estate market is not good. Y'all, when you reach out to us here in Tampa and we have a conversation about what's going on, just know that this is how I operate. Me and my team, we are looking at this information and we are having these conversations real time with our clients. So I just want you to know exactly how we approach it. And I want to be able to empower you with the confidence to operate through here. So again, sale to list price, almost identical to the United States. That's good. We still have homes selling above asking price. And this is where I was getting into this. And then I'm going to get into some other numbers to share with you guys. The last 3 offers we made here in Tampa were all multiple offers, all over asking price, every single one of them. And the market's getting tight in these. The average price point is where I'm going to say, right? So that 400 to 650 range, that's a pretty tight market right now. So just know, and again, the average sales price in Tampa is right around, it's 417 for a single family home. So if you're watching, from a distance and you see these numbers here, like all homes types, and it looks like it's less than 400, if you're buying a single family, know that it's more than that. It's 417, right? If you're looking for something like a condo, the average is 290, and you can look at those numbers and then go to the specific city you're looking in. Y'all, I can't stress that enough. That's so helpful for you as a consumer to really understand how to approach a market. Okay. So why is this happening? Right? Because you see that and you're like, great, Juan. Well, there are a lot of contributing factors, but I think some important ones to take note of are the fact that Tampa is a get to move area more than it is a have to move area. I say that, and I know that there are 3.18 million residents, or I think we're on 3.3. Sorry, 3.3 million residents in the general area here, the Tampa metro, and we all need a place to live now, right? But over the last 3 years, we've had so many people move from out of state to Tampa, Florida, right? And that trend is still continuing because the ability to work remote, and because forever, Tampa has been a place where people have dreamed to retire. Clearwater, St. Pete, right? They want to be by the beach and they want a better quality of living, right? And the quality of life here in Tampa is incredible. Okay. There's pros and cons for everything. I've made videos on all those guys. Go check them out, right? I'm not here to argue that, because trust me, 94-degree temperatures for 3.5 straight months with an 85% relative humidity, that can wear on some people. That can wear on some people. But when you've been stuck, like myself and my family, where we were stuck indoors for roughly 5.5 months every year, and it was gray and terrible, I'm willing to sweat it out every day of the week, but that might not be you. So it's something to take note of, right? But the quality of life is very, very good here. And that's why so many people are attracted to come to the area. And there's a lot of investment happening here, right? Tech is a forefront here. Tampa's the unofficial tech hub of Florida. I still think there's a lot of opportunity to grow, but the city of Tampa is very young, 36 years of age. We talk about that all the time. When you get over to Pinellas County and those Gulf beaches, St. Pete, Clearwater, the entire county, the median age here is 46. When most people think about Florida, they think about retirees and old people. And that is not what is happening in Tampa. Do we have retired, community? Absolutely, we do. Right. But I think it's a very healthy blend of young people, right? Young professionals, families, and retirees. It's good to have a mix, right? And I love what our city actually has to offer. But why is this happening, right? So I wanted to get in this. So we got the sunshine effect, right? Which is, hey, your weather's great. You guys have beaches. Awesome. We want to come for that. But there's also this thing going on in the background, which I think is really important for everybody to just wrap their mind around, which is called the lock-in effect. Okay. So guys, I want to share this with you, because this article, I ran across this on TikTok, and I came across this specifically because there was a young man. He was probably in his, I would say late 20s, early 30s, right? I'm 45, FY. And he was screaming into his phone, and he was literally going, "You're going to have to pry this 3% interest rate from my cold, dead fingers." And I was like, wow. You know what I mean? It's just like, you're looking at that, and I just couldn't believe how passionate he was about that, right? But as you may or may not know, if you're one of these people that have one of these crazy low interest rates, right, which is historically abnormal at best, right? These interest rates didn't exist except for when the last time the market melted down, but they're not normal, right? They're not normal in the U.S. That's not how it works. On average, they're right around 6% historically, or 6.5%. A 3% interest rate is absolutely mind blowing, and it's crazy good. But what that has done to all of our real estate markets, for the most part, is lock up inventory. Okay. And what I mean by that is, like, think about it this way. If you're sitting in a home in let's say that you're in Chicago, Illinois, and you've got a 3% interest rate on a really great house, and you want to move to Tampa, Florida, and you start the process and you call the lender, and the lender says, "Yep, I can absolutely make that happen." Your interest rate today is going to be 7.15 or 6.85 or 6.5 or whatever that number is going to be. And you're looking to just trade, you're looking to move laterally, right? I'm going to trade a $450,000 home in Chicago for a $450,000 home in Tampa. Well, your mortgage just jumped almost $2,000. And most people are not interested in doing that, right? So what is happening right now is these homes in the market are being locked down. So that's why you're seeing these sales be so low on top. So you got the interest rates that are super high, and then also people who have locked in. And there was this article here from Forbes, and it says, "I can't afford to sell because I don't want to lose that 3% interest rate," right? Mortgage rates will loom large over the U.S. housing market for years to come. And I want to share this stuff with you guys because it's important to take note of. Okay. And this was from last week, and it says, the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage hit 7.10 on Thursday. So this is last week on it, which is a huge number. And as you come down here, y'all, this is what I want you guys to check out. With rates moving closer to their peak of 7.37, homeowners that locked in at lower rates during the pandemic housing boom are choosing not to sell and retain their low rates, as often as low as 3% or less. This is according to Goldman Sachs. I highlighted this for you guys on purpose, right? 99% of borrowers, this is Staggering. 99% of borrowers have mortgage rates lower than 6%. And if you continue to read this, 28% of them have mortgage rates less than 3%. Y'all, tell me if I'm wrong, right? Does that make it really hard to trade what you have, right? To move anywhere, right? Because if you're selling a $450,000 house, you're moving into another $450,000 house. That's a beatdown financially you're probably going to get the same or less in home. If you're looking at Tampa, you're getting less. We're up almost 10% year over year. So you've got to keep this in mind. And I'm not telling anybody not to buy, but you guys know me. I'm going to call it out for what it is. This makes it difficult. Now, if you're a cash buyer, do you care? The answer is no. So when people look around and like, how are these houses still moving? There's still a lot of cash moving. And I'm going to get deeper into this today. Hopefully, I'm going to go over time. But listen, when people are concerned about their money and they've got money sitting in a bank and banks are failing, they typically take that money and put them in real assets. One of those real assets that has proven itself over time happens to be real estate. Right? And the law of supply and demand does not change. Supply is very, very tight right now. And people who have money are making moves. Okay, because they are trying to protect their cash. They're taking money out of stocks and bonds. You guys can see it in the market. Today was a great day for the market in terms of rally because we, quote unquote, were in alignment with inflation. But we're still in a situation where it appears that the Federal Reserve is going to be forced to continue to raise interest rates, right? Inflation is not under control. And I'm going to show you guys some of that too. But I want to share this with you too, guys, because that's not all. As I pulled these numbers, the numbers are staggering when you look at it. And I was doing my homework on SPV Bank, but I want to go back to this interest rate specifically because I think it's important. Remember, 99% of the people have interest rates under 6%. Okay. 85% of the mortgages have rates under 5%. 28% have rates below 3%. But here's the thing I want you guys to know that you don't see on this chart. 40% of all of the homes in the United States are owned outright without a mortgage. Y'all. Y'all. So where's these houses going to come from? And I know people are like, well, builders are giving incentives, and that's true. But the only reason that's happening is because the builders have to borrow money to build these homes. And they're borrowing that money at the same rate that you guys are paying for it. Yeah, there's a little bit of a discount, but not much. So these guys cannot afford to carry 6 and 7% interest rate loans and have houses sit on the market. They can't afford to lay off their crews and send them off somewhere else to lose them so they can't build houses because we still don't have enough housing in the United States. Go do the research. Don't take my word for it. Okay. But I think it's super important to know that. And here it is. Here's the other Forbes article. Nearly 40% of all homes in the U.S. are free and clear of a mortgage. So when you take into account that 40% are owned outright, another 85% have mortgages below 5%, and 99 of them have mortgage rates below 6%, it makes having to sell your property a very interesting dynamic, right? So what you typically see is, people who own things outright or have a ton of equity. Those are the people that are typically calling us right now. And again, this is not doom and gloom, guys. If you are interested in making the move here, reach out to me and my team. We'd be glad to build a plan for you that works. But I'll also be honest with you, if it doesn't. We've had to have those conversations with people who aspire to move to Tampa, but right now just can't make it work either because of interest rates or finances or jobs. Okay. And we're here to help serve in that respect. So I just want to share that with you guys. All right. So I want to get into some of these questions we got in the chat, y'all. So thanks for bearing with me. You guys are killing it right now. What do we got here? One at a time. I should read these before I put them on the screen. The houses there are $350K minimum. Review is thinking about 300 to 325 range for that third bedroom, at least 1,500 square feet. I mean, it's still doable, but again, a lot of these homes that you're going to see in that price range are going to need some love, guys. And Florida is the king of not reinvesting in the properties. And let me share what I mean by that. The further north you get in the Tampa Bay area, and I'll get into the map here in a second. Let's just do it now. And then we'll answer these questions. Let's do it. Pull up the map. So that's always helpful. Cool, because we're going to talk about some stuff anyways. So here's Tampa, right? As we kind of give a little bit of perspective. This is Tampa Bay. I'm going to draw over this thing. You know, this is very well established. These are all older properties, right? This area has been developed a long time ago. What is happening now is you've got the big suburban sprawl taking place all the way up north into San Antonio, really, which is interesting. And then down in this area, Lutz, Odessa, this is all new construction, new buildings. They're building out in the Valrico, Lithia area out back here. They're also building in the Apollo Beach, Sun City, Wild Ruskins, and then down into Parrish as well. All these properties here, and when I say all, I mean majority of them, there are newer homes here, but the only new homes that get put in Pinellas County, which is where the beaches are, Clearwater and St. Pete, they're typically a scrape and build, meaning that you got to tear one down to put one up. And I share that with you guys, and I'm answering this question directly, Daniel, because a lot of the homes here were second homes or vacation homes or retirement homes originally back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And people didn't necessarily always reinvest in those houses. So as you guys are scrolling through Redfin or Zillow or whatever it is, you're going to notice a lot of outdated homes, especially when you get closer to the beach. Our homes are smaller when we're on the beach, usually 300 or 400 square foot less than you can get out in areas like Wesley Chapel, Lando Lakes, Luth, Lithia, and they cost more per square foot. So just keep that in mind. And the reason being is because you're paying for Gulf access. Okay, so just keep that in perspective. But Riverview, Brandon, they definitely have some more affordable options if you guys are thinking about going that direction. So hope that helps, bud. Just want to answer some a little bit. We're going to get back into that map here in a moment. Downtown in Ruskin. Ruskin's a nice area. It's up and coming, right? Stoked to come see you next month. Yeah, Drew, we're stoked to see you too. Drew is a filmmaker, y'all, and that guy makes incredible films. I saw some product videos that he did. I know I'm totally nerding out right now, but the guy's talented, right? So Drew, do me a favor, throw your Instagram handle in the chat. You too, Megatron. I want make sure you put your YouTube link in the chat so those guys can see it. Megatron Fit, who was on earlier, and make sure you check out Drew too. All right, line of question. Where should we be looking for a house? Daniel, that is a great question, man. Schedule a time with me. All of my information is down below. I have to ask you better questions. And for anybody that's been on a call with me before, my goal here is to match your ideal lifestyle that you have in your mind with the ideal community. Houses take care of themselves, right? So just keep that in mind, guys. That is the biggest focus we have for you when you reach out to us. Monica, I'll take the heat over the snow here in New York. Amen. Absolutely. Same page. No doubt about there. Was there a week ago. It didn't work out, but I'll be back soon. Yeah, Daniel, I totally understand, my man. Daniel's watching. He's up in Chicago. He's right by where they're going to build the new Bear Stadium out there. So cool spot for him to be. Derek says also trading property tax amounts to current values. Yeah, that can be challenged too. Our taxes here in Tampa are significantly less than we were paying back home in Detroit. I get calls and people tell us our taxes are high. So you really have to focus on where you live, right? The county tax in Pasco, I think, is 1%. Pinellas is like 0.97 and Tampa is like 1.02 or something like that. Then you have to factor in your municipal taxes as well. But overall, our tax bases went down dramatically. To have the same home we have here, in the Gulf Coast, it would cost us somewhere between 12 and 15,000, and we're currently paying 6,300. So it's worth the swap for us. Not a problem on our end. Steven Johnson says there ain't no city in Florida as beautiful as San Francisco, California. Home most famous bridge in the world in Golden Gate. Yep. Yeah. Cool. No arguments, man. San Francisco was beautiful the time that I visited it. I'm not sure. What I do know is you guys are experiencing some very interesting things on your streets right now that I have no interest in partaking in. So, everybody's got to trade something somewhere, right? But I do agree. San Francisco was beautiful. Fisherman's Wharf out there was incredible. To see the seals and, do the whole thing out there was gorgeous, man. So shout out. Thanks for watching too, by the way. All right. What's up, Carlos? Nice to see you too, my man. Drew said, thank you. Oh, you're welcome, dude. Anytime. Are there new buildings, properties in downtown St. Petersburg? Yes. The answer to that is yes. There are sticks in the air. Okay, so if in the construction industry, when you see those big cranes up in the cities, they call those, sticks in the air. And I got that from another client. Her name is Patty. That's what she rents, that type of equipment, which is really cool. And there are sticks in the air everywhere in downtown St. Pete. They're selling luxury condos and they are building luxury apartments. There's buildings. It's crazy how fast it's developing there. So all great questions, guys. Thank you. I appreciate all the interaction today. So let's get into some of the cool stuff that is happening here in Tampa. And I want to talk a little bit about what's going on downtown in the Channel District specifically. So we're going to drill into downtown Tampa here. For those of you guys who have never been in the area before, Tampa is awesome. It's a big little city. That's the best way I can describe it. Again, 3.2 to 3.3 million people, depending on what the census says, in terms of all three counties. So you're talking about Pinellas County, which is where the Gulf Beaches are, Hillsborough, which is where Tampa is, and Pasco, which is to the north, where you've got Odessa, Lutz, Land O'Lakes, and Wesley Chapel, that area up there. But when you get into downtown Tampa, there's so much going on right now. And again, they're building like crazy in a few different areas in Tampa. And most of the exciting redevelopment is happening in this Ybor City Channel District area, which I'm going to take you guys to down right now. You can see right here. So, and that's what makes Tampa so cool, this whole walkability thing and like urban feel, but still having access to downtown. If you live in a place like Hyde Park, which you can see over here, which is just south of University of Tampa, which is right here, you can literally be in Hyde Park and be downtown Tampa in 3 minutes from a car. I mean, that's crazy, but it's completely suburban here. And that's a very unique style of living, which I think most people find very interesting, right? And it's not for everybody, but people love it, and then you've got Davis Island here, and then Harbor Island here, where, you definitely have some affluent houses there. And then this is downtown. It's literally right there in your backyard, which makes it really cool. But what's happening down here with this development right now, where everybody's focused and where they're getting the big projects off the ground, is this Channel District. And I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more here. And right here, you've got Sparkman's Wharf. And I'm going to give you guys some articles and you can see some things pretty unique here in a second. But Sparkman's Wharf is right here. And this is a cool little spot. I did a video here before, outdoor space where you can bring the dog. Right here is where the Norwegian cruise lines come up. So they come in, they pick up passengers, and you're sitting right there. They've got dining and restaurants and shopping and everything right here at the wharf. And then you've got Florida Aquarium right here. Well, for years, this area up here has not been developed. Okay. And what is happening right now is they have development projects that have broke ground. Tampa's working the roads through this entire area as well, this Channel District here. They're working on these projects. And right now there's another proposal to put a stunning, just an absolute gorgeous mixed use space, apartments, condos, shops, all the things right here inside of the channel, which is really cool. And they're trying to connect that to the gas work projects that they have begin working on here in Ybor City, and really connect the cities back together again. Because right now, from Ybor to downtown Tampa, it feels really disconnected. But they have been working through this, and there's apartments and condos in this area that they've been developing. And I'm going to show you guys some of this stuff right now. And here's from the city. You can see this is the timeline of the projects and what they've completed so far. So this is that same exact area I was just showing you with Sparkman's Wharf here at the bottom. And you can see one of the cruise ships down here waiting, right? Sparkman Wharf down here, and then the aquarium, and they're working on these roads. So what you're seeing right now is the city of Tampa showing you what the timeline is, where they are with these projects, redeveloping these roads. And what I was showing you is this district right here where you can still see this ship. And this is where these new projects are going to go. And the projects look like this. So this is one of them that they're working on right now. So this is Valet, Tampa. This is the north facing downtown. So this is something really cool to take a look at. Just beautiful building. And this is going to be in the Channel District. right at Ybor City. So this is a great area. I get a lot of investors calling me right now to look at these areas specifically, and for good reason. So I've talked about Gasworks before, and Daryl Shaw is one of the investors here that has been heavily influencing what's going on in Tampa development. They were part of the West Shore. They've got the Gasworks property locked down, and I want to show you that. But this is talking about that Channel Side district. Site that they've targeted. So again, if we go back to the map really quick, and I know I'm bouncing around quick, but I want you to see it. This is the area that we're talking about right now. So this is where they want to put that development. Okay, so that you can see the same exact photo they used there. And I want to see if they got a good photo of it. Oh, they don't, guys. Forgive me. I'll track one down. But they got a really cool, where is it? Oh man, forgive me, y'all. I thought I had it, but I'll grab it next time so you guys can see it. But anyways, they're building this beautiful project down there. And then if we go over to Gasworks, which I'll take you guys to in a second, you'll really be able to check out what's happening down there. And if we go back into that, now we're talking about historic Ybor again. So just a really cool, I mean, some great things happening here in Tampa that I think are super important to stay focused on, because even with as tough as things are, economically, it's not stopping the investment in the city. And this is what I always tell anybody who's, wondering what economic outlooks look like. What are the people with money, what are they doing with their money right now? And these guys have the ability to borrow money, and obviously they have money to move around, and they've gotten to that point because they're not foolish. And when I ever start doubting myself or what I'm thinking about, my real estate investments or how to approach my personal real estate, like I always look back at what do the people who have money, what are they doing with it? Well, right now they're investing in Tampa, and they're investing in Tampa real estate heavy when everybody else is telling you not to do anything. And to me, that's always at least a good place to get curious, right? And I'm not on here to convince anybody to do anything against their will, right? But it's worth taking a look at. Why are these guys willing to invest hundreds of millions of dollars into the city if, quote unquote, the world is burning down and real estate is not a good investment, right? That stuff doesn't add up, right? It doesn't make sense to me. And I'm sure it doesn't make sense to you either. So, it's worth taking note that the people with money are doing things that make money right now. And I think it's very important to not lose sight of that. Right. So I'm pulling up the Gasworks development right now. I want to show you guys some of the stuff because I think it's really cool. And I want to show you some really good renderings of what they're trying to do. Oh, here's a great one. I thought I had it pulled up before y'all. So bear with me. Okay. And you guys are asking great questions. We're going to get back to answering some of these questions here in a second. But I want to show you what we're working on here. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, cool. So really cool spot here. So this is what they've got. Right. We're not going to do that for 30 minutes. Live TV. Dog. All right. Off on that one. We'll find it. Guys like this guy. Yeah, this is what happens when you use other people's materials to show stuff. But okay, so here we go. Here's a great rendering of it. And the Gaswork project is, I think, $400 million. I did a whole YouTube video on this. Yeah, look at this. Gasworks is slated to have up to 5,000 residents in the city's urban core with up to 500,000 square feet of office space and 140,000 space of retail. It'll include 325 affordable housing units, to be TBD on that, right? Which developers call the largest such private commitment. And the city is extremely focused on this. But I love the fact that, the 41 acre plan, the goal here is to connect it. They're going to put green space in there. They want to make sure that the city, it reflects what Tampa is all about. And you can see some of these renderings. They're great. If you guys are really interested in this, type in Gasworks, go check this project out. I think it's really worth, kind of nosing around in and just checking out what's going on, because it's an exciting project. I'm excited to see what this turns into. I have never been part of a city that was really growing the way that Tampa currently is. And I think it's worth taking a look at. So definitely check that out. All right. So what do we have here? Carlos says, new buildings, downtown St. Pete. We covered that one. Daniel said, what's the plan to update all the roads to ease traffic? Daniel, that is a great question, my man, because as I've discussed it with you guys before, Tampa's infrastructure is pretty old. It was not prepared, for the influx of people that we've had over the last 5 years or the last 15, to be honest with you. Traffic can be terrible at specific times, mostly drive times. If you don't have to drive to work, it's never going to affect you and you're never going to know any different. But if you do have to get on that, 275 I-4 corridor, that exchange there, that can be very difficult to navigate at specific times. So keep that in mind, y'all, when you're coming to the area. Water Street. Yeah, dude, that Water Street is the spot. Mark's asking, hey, I'll be moving to Water Street in Tampa. And that's a great area. You're not going to be disappointed, man. A lot of people love that area, myself included. Any plans to build a bridge between Apollo Beach or in that area? I have heard nothing about building a bridge going to the east side. It's a great question. I think it would be extremely helpful in terms of traffic flow, but I don't see that on the horizon anytime soon. So great question. You guys all have great questions. I appreciate that. All right. So we talked about what's going on with Tampa. We talked about the projects that are working on there. I do want to get into some specifics really quick when it comes to real estate before I bounce on to another topic. So let's do that. We're going to jump over to, I want to pull actual data for the last 30 days because we were just talking about that. I think it's important to note. All right. So this is directly from our multiple listing service. And like I shared with you before, Redfin, Zillow, all those guys pull data from our sources. So I'm going to make this short, but I just want to show everybody who's considering making a move what's happening. So this right here is single family homes, condominiums, townhouses, and villas for Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas counties. That's the numbers that I pulled here. Okay. No mobile homes, no land. Nothing out of the ordinary, no commercial property here. So this is just residential property that we're looking at. The average home that sold over the last 30 days was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,771 square foot, and it sold for an average price of $461,205. Okay, now remember, that's including condos and townhouses, which typically cost less. So I want you guys to have a frame of reference, because when I showed you earlier, it said it was 419, right? Or 410 or whatever the number was. But as you can see, the last 30 days, like I said, when we started this conversation, things are ticking up in that direction again. Okay. So, just be mindful that as you guys come along, that's what's happening. The average days on market is 47. That's a healthy number. It's way better than the 11 and 7 we were seeing all last summer. I think that's great. And you can look at the median too. Median throws out the high and low. I tend to go by the average because that's what I typically see is more towards the average. The median is always lower. Listen, y'all, a $379 or $380,000 house in Tampa it's going to need a lot of love. Okay. It's going to be older. It's probably not going to have a whole lot of improvements in it. Or if it does, it's going to be in an area that probably rates less than stellar for schools and for crime. That's just to be honest. And don't take my word. Go to greatschools.org and also go to Crime Map, right? Neighborhood Scout is a great place to go look for those things. So I'm just being frank with y'all, right? When we start talking about numbers, I think it's always important to talk about the truth, like what is actually happening out there. So that's fascinating, y'all. Okay. So crazy week. Drink water. A bank has failed in the United States, and it was the second largest bank failure in the United States. It is fascinating. And that happened, and then 2 other banks have since failed. Now, I'm not gloom and doom guy. We had a whole talk about this morning. I've been looking at this going, okay, how is this going to affect me? How is this going to affect my family? Because I think that's the question that we all ask. And that is quite clearly what the Federal Reserve, the Treasury Secretary in the United States government thought as well, and the FDIC, because they decided that they were going to back all of the deposits, which is fascinating because 90% of the deposits in that bank are over $250,000. So the FDIC technically only funds up to 250, but they're going to secure all of those. And the reason that they're doing that is because they do not want panic in the streets, and they don't want you and I to go run to JP Morgan Chase or Fifth Third Bank or Wells Fargo and go take our money out, because it'll collapse the entire system. And their hand has been forced. And I'm not on here to talk politics or get in the weeds with this stuff, but I have to take a look at this objectively. I sell real estate, right? It puts food on my family's table. So what does this mean to me and my clients? How is this going to affect us? These are the questions that I'm asking myself. And I know many of us are, right? Like, how's this going to affect you? You may not sell real estate. Maybe you sell cars. Maybe you sell software. How does this affect you? You know, when you look at the companies that had deposits in there, companies like Shopify, Etsy, I mean, these are very large companies that if they're not able to get the money out, how are they going to supply their customers and their clients with their products, which is going to erode the entire belief in the system. So I think it's fascinating to watch. But like, you know, I want to walk you guys through a little bit of a timeline if you don't mind. Because it was just interesting to watch as this thing went down. So for those of you who are maybe aren't aware, Silicon Valley Bank failed, and the government took control of it. And I just want to walk you guys through a little bit of a timeline here, because I wrote this down because I was absolutely fascinated by it, this whole thing. So on March 8th, Silicon Valley Bank tried to raise $2.25 billion in capital to cover its balance sheets. And it was doing that because the people who bank with Silicon Valley got wind of the fact that Silicon Valley did not have enough money in the coffers to cover their deposits. And there's a lot of reasons here. I would go encourage you, and I'm not going to do the whole thing today. I would encourage you to go read the article, but the majority of the people who bank in that bank they found tech startups. They're venture capitalists that invest heavily in tech. That's what that company has been there for a long time. And that's who they've supported. That's their ideal client. And what has been happening is with the rising of interest rates, it's made it tougher and tougher for those small companies to either borrow money. Maybe they can't borrow money at all, but more importantly, the investments have been drying up because people aren't borrowing money at 2% anymore or at 1% anymore. They have to borrow it at 6 or 7%. And you start to get really tight, and you really start to scrutinize your investments when you got to pay 7%. We talked about this right out of the gate when we're talking about real estate. Well, the same thing is happening when it comes to banking in Silicon Valley and these tech startups, right? So word comes out that these guys don't have enough. And listen, you're going to hear a whole bunch of other things, but ultimately, you know, the way that banks make money is, you know, they take our money, put it on deposit, and then they turn around and they typically loan that money out to me and you at a higher interest rate, and then they make they make profit on the spread, the difference between the two, right? What they owe you and what the person paying them pays. And then they also make money by doing things like investing in bonds and mortgage-backed securities, which Silicon Valley Bank had done. Well, what happened with Silicon Valley Bank, one of the biggest things that was a misstep for them was they bought almost $100 billion in bonds. These are treasury notes, right? That wouldn't mature for almost 4 years. And they bought them when the interest rates are 1.76%. So what happens with that money is it becomes illiquid. Think of if you had, you know, let's say your bank had $400 billion in assets, because that's right, give or take. That's what it is. I'm using approximations right now, and I'm trying to stay very general. So walk with me, guys. I know the numbers aren't perfect, but let's say you had a $400 billion bank account, and you took $100 billion and put it in a 4-year bond. Well, that money now it goes to the impound yard, right? Essentially, and is locked down for 4 years as you earn a 1.76% return. In 4 years, you'll get the full amount plus interest, right? But what that does is it makes your money impossible to move without selling it, right? You can get out of it early, but what does Uncle Sam do to you anytime you mess with money early? Think of your 401k. They whack you. right? You get hit heavy with penalties and fees, right? Because they don't want you moving that money around because they're using your money to go make money, right? So that was what was happening here. And at the same time, the startups and the companies that are banking with Silicon Valley Bank are forced to start taking their money out of the bank because now they're not borrowing money anymore, right? Maybe money's getting tight. They're using more cash, more savings. It's coming out. Well, when people found out that the Silicon Valley Bank did not have enough money to cover, right, the bank that the money that you say you have in that account, they made a run for the bank. Okay. And to the tune of $42 billion they tried to withdraw in one day. Well, that bank did not have $42 billion laying around. It didn't have $42 billion in a vault to come out and pay us. Right. So what happened was on the 8th, they tried to raise $2.25 billion, didn't get it. People made a run on the bank. They had to sell these bonds and lost $1.5 billion because they had to start selling off the assets early. On March 9th, stocks tanked, right? And within a couple, there was a $42 billion run on it. On March 10th, Silicon Valley Bank announced that they were trying to sell the bank, right? That is how they were going to try to get out of this. Now, keep in mind, it's not that they didn't have the money. It's they didn't have access to the money because they had put it in bonds, right? Which is fascinating, right? But they announced that they had failed to raise the capital and they were looking for a buyer. A few hours later, the government stepped in and became stewards of the bank. Okay, they've taken over. Now, here's what's really interesting. The FDIC, which is an insurance that banks pay to, right, to cover our assets, right? Think of it as insurance, right? You and I have auto insurance. The FDIC is that type of insurance for a bank, and that is the government's secured backing that if you and I put money in a bank account that is FDIC insured, that they will back us up to $250,000 per bank. So if we had $1 million, you'd want to put it between 4 of them. That way you're covered, right? Okay. But what's happening here is 90% of those bank accounts don't have the money. And here's what I'm here to tell you guys, y'all. This is why I'm talking about this. The FDIC does not have that money sitting in a bank account. They don't have it. The bank's been paying in, but they don't have that kind of money sitting in a bank account. And if they don't have that kind of money sitting in a bank account to insure the one bank, what happens when you and I make a run on all the other banks? The whole system goes belly up. So what happens is the Federal Reserve and the United States government and the FDIC all get in a room and say, how are we going to handle this? Because if we don't do something, everyone's going to freak out. They're going to make a run on the bank. The entire economy will collapse. So the Federal Reserve says, you know what? We'll print more money. You know how we fix this? FDIC will help you insure all of this liability. We'll print money. Right? Now, why am I saying this to you guys? Here's the thing I want everybody in my audience to understand. And I know like this is off the reservation from living in Tampa. I get it. But it's important. If you know me or if you follow my channel at all, you guys know that I love to share what's happening real time because real estate is more than just, you know, about flip-flops and sunshine in Tampa. This is people's livelihood, right? And what I mean by that is it's your livelihood. This is your home. This could really impact how, you know, you live. It could impact your work. So I want people to be mindful of it. But here's the thing I want you to understand when I'm talking about this. I don't have fear about what's happening right now. Do I think it's unnerving? Yes, I do. But do I also understand that when you print roughly 30 to 40% of all the money that's ever supplied in a 2-year period, that there's not going to be fallout? There absolutely is, right? But here's my professional and personal opinion. They don't have inflation under control. Inflation went up again today, right? The Federal Reserve is in the most difficult position I think anyone could ever be in. Trust me, I am not, there's no sympathy crying going on for me. Because how do you manage an economy where you have to get inflation under control because you're the world's bank? People come to us because our economy has always been stable, and so has our money, right? But if you go into hyperinflation, you look just like the euro, and now people like China and Russia start decoupling from you guys. I know I'm going way off the reservation. Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. I'm going to land this plane. Okay. So how do you handle that? You have to get inflation under wraps. But at the same time, the only way to get out of a financial crisis, because the only tool that the Federal Reserve has is they can turn up the dial of interest rates or turn down the dial of interest rates, which means that they're either printing more money or they're taking money out of the supply. They're constricting. And they've been constricting so aggressively. And that's part of the reason why this bank was forced in this situation. I'm not saying it's not mismanaged, but understand the challenges that came along with it. Silicon Valley Bank made the bet that interest rates were not going to get as high and most certainly not as fast as they did, or they would never have bought those bonds at 1.79% when you can buy them today at 4.5 or 5. Right? They never would have done that, right? So that's there. But here's my belief. I don't think that we've got inflation under control. It's trending down, but you saw again today, they use core inflation. I hate that. They remove things that are important to me and you, like eggs and milk and bread, the things you actually buy, right? Gasoline for your car. Stuff makes you nuts. So what is going to happen? And I bring this up to you guys for this reason, right? Like, I'm talking about this because it's going to affect real estate wherever you live, and it's most certainly going to affect, what's happening here in Tampa too. If the Federal Reserve is forced to start going backwards, meaning that they have to start printing money again and lowering interest rates to get the economy going, because there's a much bigger fundamental issue. And I'm not saying there is, but if there is, right? If more banks start failing in the next few days or few weeks, they're going to be forced to make a change. And if that change comes, money's going to start flowing again. If money starts flowing again and you already have limited inventory on real estate, what do you think is going to happen to home prices? You already don't have enough. And then you start making money cheap again, it's going to be very difficult. Very difficult. Now, if it goes the other way, it's going to be very difficult because interest rates are going to be 8.5%, right? And at the end of the day, demand listen, it's not that people don't want to move, right? Or don't even have to move. There are people who get to and have to right now, right? So don't lose sight of that. That's still happening every day. But that demand doesn't just evaporate because you change interest rates. What it's doing is it's sitting on the sideline waiting for a change. And when a positive change comes, it's going to start going up again. And I'm not talking about the cost of real estate. It's trending in that direction. Anybody can say that. And I'm not here to tell you that things go up forever. I don't believe that. There will be an up and a down. It will always happen. Real estate as an asset class has proven itself over time. And then again, I'm taking this full circle. If you have money in the bank and you know that the Federal Reserve is about to start printing money again, which is going to devalue that dollar you have, because inflation is a hidden tax, y'all. That's what it is, right? Those people are taking that asset, they're taking cold hard cash, and they are buying real assets. That's why people, right, like Daryl Shaw is investing big money into Tampa, right? Because they know it's going to become more and more difficult to buy a home in the future. Banks like Blackstone and BlackRock are buying up entire neighborhoods because they know that home ownership is becoming more and more difficult. And if it sounds like I'm passionate about this, I am, because what I believe, I have a 10-year-old son, y'all. And my belief is, right? My belief is that if I don't buy a home for them, they probably won't be fortunate enough to buy a home until they're in their 40s. The first time home buyer in the United States is almost 36 years of age, y'all. My son is 10. That's 26 years from now. In the last 26 years, I've seen real estate triple, right? If that happens again, the median household, the median house price is going to be $700,000, right? Ain't too many 28-year-olds buying a $700,000 asset. So I know I have been going tangent here. Forgive me, y'all. I got a little passionate about this, but this is a subject that is near and dear to my heart. I absolutely love real estate. I love what it does for people. I've seen so many people build generational wealth through purchasing real estate assets, trading them up over time, buying investments, whatever they are. And if that's you and you're interested in doing that here in Tampa, do not hesitate to reach out to me. All of my contact information is down below. I'd love to discuss these things further. Again, this isn't Juan coming on to be your financial advisor. That's not my role. It's not Juan coming on to tell you that it's gloom and doom out there, because I don't believe that for 1 second. And I'm not here to tell you that you should or shouldn't buy real estate. If it makes sense for you, and your desire is to own a piece of land or own a home, and you can afford it, do it, because you have to live there. If you're investing in real estate and it makes sense for your portfolio and it's going to help you grow your wealth and whatever your financial goals are, do it. If those things aren't in alignment, don't. Right? It's that simple, y'all. And guys, I want to thank you so much. Let me see if we got any last questions here. Let me see what we got going on. I want to make sure we get to it. Stephanie says, lots of concern in the banking world this week for sure. Absolutely. And Miss Toomey would know, because she is in that industry. And it's part of the reason why I'd bend your ear on this as well. I think it's definitely worth note. Steven said, do you think the red tide will affect the prices near the beach? No, actually this week it's almost gone. If you go look at the red tide map, it's almost out here, Daniel, which I think is great. We haven't had any rain for a month. So that was part of the problem. You know, the natural ebbs and flows of red tide are there, but I mean, we can get into a whole nother subject on that. But if you go look at the map today, they're great. We were down at the beach. It was awesome. So no issues there. Monica said it's going to get hot. Yes, it probably is. And then last one said, talk to you later. Yep. So guys, thank you so much. It was absolute pleasure being with you this evening. Look out for our new video. It'll be coming this Saturday. I'm excited. And again, we're going to talk Tampa every Tuesday. You guys want to know more about stuff like this? We're going to get deeper. If you guys have a specific subject you would like to talk about, or a specific development, or you want to know something that's going on in Tampa, I'm going to make it a point to share those things every single Tuesday. And until next time, go out and live that Tampa life, y'all.